Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Ethan Bull, co-founder and president of ProAssisting, a next-generation company setting new standards in a remote, fractional executive assistance for business owners, C-suite leaders, and boards. Ethan, welcome.
Ammar, thank you for having me, bud.
Yeah, anytime. I am excited to dive in. I would like to start from the beginning. So take me back to before you started ProAssisting. What were you doing before? And then what really motivated you to start the company?
Both my wife, who's also our CEO and my co-founder,
Yeah.
and I lived in New York City, her for almost 15 years, me for almost 20,
Mm,
working as high-level executive assistants to CEOs and C-suite executives of billion-dollar organizations and companies. That on her side, it was two different hedge funds, as well as working for the CEO of J. Crew.
cool.
On my side, it was in entertainment and then into advertising and working for a chief operating officer for Deutsch, which is a billion-dollar ad agency. And in those roles, it's a 24/7 mentality, six-figure compensation, fast-paced, and you are that single point of contact between the principal and everyone else in their lives,
Mm,
both on the business and personal sides of the ledger. So
wow.
that is our kind of base of experience. And when you combine it, it's over 40 years of combined high level EA experience.
I'm super curious so you guys have a whole breadth of experience. What problem did you see in the space that made you want to start Pro Assisting?
We saw a gap
Mm,
between where all of the US based virtual assistant companies sat
okay.
from a compensation standpoint in terms of how much they were compensating their assistants, and also a number of clients that they were partnering with each of their assistants. And if you go back to 2007 in Tim Ferriss's book, The 4 Hour Work Week, that's where that model came from.
Mm.
Find a virtual assistant overseas that you can pay $5 an hour to run your $1 million business. And when the US companies started perking up in starting in 2010, they went for that race to the bottom. Let's see how inexpensive we can get virtual assistants for. How much can we charge for that service? And let's partner them with 6, 8, 10, 12 clients a month.
Yeah.
From our perspective, an executive assistant working in a major metropolitan area is not going to work for $18 an hour, $20 an hour, $22 an hour as an independent contractor. The compensation, but then also the executive to assistant ratio. We work off of a 3-to-1 ratio, meaning that one of our assistants handles a maximum of 3 clients. And we also charge by flat resources. We charge $3,300 a month for 1/3 the resources of one of our assistants. It's like a third of a full-time employee. And we pass 75% of that to the assistant. So we're basically an agent. I'm like the Jerry Maguire of executive assistants, if you will.
Yeah.
And we make sure that the clients are following our rules of the road for how this support is provided. And we make sure that the assistants are providing that value and that support.
Mm.
And that compensation structure, along with the limited number of clients, makes us very attractive to those six-figure EAs that are now moving out of the city, want to stay remote, want something to do in that third act of their career.
One thing that I was confused about a little bit. So you said $3,300 a month, and then you said something about 1/3 the workload,
Resources, yep.
1/3 the resources. What does that mean?
Obviously, the other aspect of how we do it differently is we don't charge by the hour. You are paying for a third of the assistant that you're partnered with. And obviously, time is part of that. And if you take 173 hours a month, which is average Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you divide it by 3, you're right in the ballpark from a time perspective. We place value on our assistants' deep experience of actually being a high level EA. We place value on the exclusivity. So as a client, that you could pick up the phone at 2:38 on a Wednesday, and 8 times out of 10, your assistant's just going to answer. And if they don't, they'll call you back or send you a text shortly thereafter.
Yep.
And then you're also paying for that legacy knowledge that builds up in them over time. So they know all your preferences. They know your partner and on the personal side and your kids. They know the chairman of the board and they know your most important client. And all of that knowledge makes them more efficient over time.
Sure.
And we lean into more of an entrepreneurial model that encourages our assistants to leverage that experience and become as efficient as possible. And then their bandwidth naturally increases as they become more up to speed and in sync with the client or principal.
Yeah, I like that. And I can imagine too, from the client's perspective, the time isn't really the factor. It's more, are you efficient and what are the outcomes that we're deriving together?
It's interesting you say that because some prospects, all they want to know is down to the minute. And they're usually not the right prospects for us. The best prospects for us are either someone who's used an assistant in the past and knows the value of their own time, or someone who they've either used it or seen a great assistant in action and just say, I want that. And, that great assistant is going to end up thinking 3 steps ahead of you, is going to ask the question, what's next? And then what? As they think through the needs of their principal. And that comes with the experience. And we're very transparent on our website about how much our assistants are being comped and what the cost is. And we have clients who've been with us since inception in 2018, 2019, and 2020. So we're very proud of that. But yeah, it's funny. Sometimes the prospects, I need to know exactly how much time. And I'm like, this isn't going to be the right fit. And then the other ones are like, I don't care how much time. I just want the value. And if they're getting the value month in and month out, they keep going.
100%. As long as you're getting, that's how I think at least. As long as whatever I want to derive out of any particular engagement, as long as the outcome is met, I don't care if you spent an hour on it or 100 hours.
Yeah, and leveraging AI and leveraging technology, some things that a principal or a client thinks, oh, this is going to take them 3 hours, the assistant can slice and dice it and do it in 23 minutes. But there are also other things that the client thinks, oh, this doesn't take much time at all. This is going to be super easy. And it takes the assistant like 10 hours. And through no fault of their own, it's just conceptually, clients or principals sometimes have differing ideas of how long things take.
That makes perfect sense. I'm super curious when it comes to the customer acquisition. So when you're looking to bring on more clients into ProAssisting, what do you do from a lead gen and marketing perspective?
Over the last 7 years, we've done pretty much everything. Back in 2019, 2020, and into 2021, LinkedIn was amazing at being able to send an introductory note to someone where they would see my intro note and say, how do I schedule a call? I need this.
Wow.
And then it's like everybody was doing it. And so it stopped being effective. We've done Google ads. We're currently doing LinkedIn ads. SEO is always a huge component of what we do. Podcasts like this one, PR. And I just have hundreds of conversations every quarter. In that, it's hard for a business owner to put their faith in those conversations, but it really works. So referrals are amazing for us. Internal expansion. So a client comes to us and we put them at 1/3 resources. And about 40% of our clients over time increase that to a half
Mhm.
resource or
I
to
see.
2/3 resources. We do have a few clients who just want their assistant at full resources, and they're okay paying that
Mhm.
because they know and trust the assistant already. They've tried before they buy. And then we
Right.
also have clients who work up the chain and get to 2/3 resources and then say, I want to buy my assistant out. And if the assistant is on board with that and the assistant and the client can come to an agreement in terms of compensation and what the role is, we take the buyout fee and step aside.
That's cool. Okay, very interesting. I'm super curious. What have you found so far this year to be the most effective?
Well, this year, we're speaking now in August of 2025. The word uncertainty was rampant. We've lost clients due to the uncertainty around the tariff situation. You have a commoditization of our space in general,
Yeah.
meaning there are so many upstart virtual assistant firms or fractional EA firms, and everyone does it a little different. That, and a lot of that is running down on price. How cheap can we get this? We don't
Mm,
play that game.
yeah.
And so we're very clear about setting expectations around what our service is and what it isn't. And then the other thing is artificial intelligence. And
Mm,
the headlines, from our perspective, you're seeing AI executive assistant for your inbox, AI executive assistant for your calendar. And it's, I feel, having, and we're deep into it too, that those headlines are outrunning where the actual services are.
mm,
And I think they're over promising and under delivering at this point. I'm a huge proponent of AI. I think it is going to be where our space is moving, but it's a very tough problem to solve because every client slash principal is different. And, you know, having enough context for the AI to know what that is, the AI agent, to know what to do next to complete a full task as an
mm.
executive assistant is not an easy, it's not an easy solution. So we're excited about that. But I tell you, November of 22 came along and ChatGPT burst onto the scene. I stuck my head in the sand for the first 6 months, but now I have ChatGPT up on my computer all the time.
Same. Yeah, it's hard to avoid it.
Oh, and that's another interesting thing, though. We have started getting clients from ChatGPT and Perplexity.
Okay.
And I think that something your listeners may be interested in a quick little aside on the SEO front. Last year, we used a company overseas, and unbeknownst to me, I think they were using a lot of AI to write our content from an
Mm,
SEO perspective. This year, we backed off, we cut ties with them and picked up with a US based company that only uses humans to write the content. And I've been inserting myself into that process to make sure it's on brand. And these articles are not just for SEO, they're actually valuable and they're
mm,
deep. I think that writing has turned some of these large language models onto us. And that's a very interesting aspect of where the SEO space is going. And I know our SEO provider, and I work with the owner, he is all in on meeting these models where they are
yeah.
from that perspective.
Yeah, that's a great point. You're actually the third person in the past like week that's mentioned Perplexity and ChatGPT have mentioned their businesses,
Yeah.
and all of those companies have emphasis on SEO. And it's interesting to me because I'm not gonna lie, at the beginning I was like, maybe the SEO model is dead. But the more that I talk to business owners and see their experiences, I feel like doing traditional SEO properly and having an organic presence on other platforms like social media platforms enhances the chances of a Perplexity or a ChatGPT to show your company at the top of the search results, which is interesting to think about.
Yeah, no, and I see it in our analytics. When someone comes from ChatGPT or Perplexity, 9 times out of 10, they're spending more than 10 minutes on site, and which is a lot. We're very straightforward on our website. Yeah, and my SEO provider, Steven, he tells me you're going to get less traffic from Perplexity and ChatGPT and the like,
Of
but they're
course.
going to be more valuable. And it's showing in terms of time on site.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So when it comes to the sales piece, it sounds like you're the one that handles that. Or is it mainly a direct to cart thing? Do they book a call before? How
No, they have to book a call, and I handle all the sales. Yeah. So it's founder led sales. We're still in that point in the S curve.
yeah.
And this year's been a struggle. We're still growing, but not nearly where we would want to be. And I think it's a confluence of those three things I mentioned: uncertainty around tariffs in the US economy, consolidation of our market, and AI, and a disconnect between where that actually is right now
Mm,
and where the potential is obviously there. But I
yeah.
just do not think we are there yet in terms of all this OpEx savings that boards and CEOs want from AI, or are people are telling them they should be getting it, that savings, and it's not coming.
So then when you think of your goals and where you want to be, let's say 12, 24 months down the line, paint me that picture. What are some milestones that you're aiming towards, some targets? What does that look like?
I would I would like to see this economy avoid a recession, and 2026 be a banner year and get back into that 40 or 50% growth. That would be awesome. We're also leaning into the ProAssisting Academy, which is a training program that we have
Hmm.
for high level EAs, because at ProAssisting, we're demand constrained. I don't think enough business leaders know about us and our specific model.
Mm.
And we've got more assistants wanting to work with us and not enough clients to make that balance happen. So we've leaned into the ProAssisting Academy, where, frankly, a lot of these assistants would be better off not partnering with ProAssisting and just going out on their own and
Mm.
leveraging their own personal network. And that's what we do. We talk about experience-based positioning, your first 100 conversations, what business model do you want, and does it line up with your lifestyle? Is there a balance on the personal and the business side, or your career, and does that fit making this kind of transition? I have worked with hundreds of EAs who've transitioned to fractional work, and I actually really enjoy that coaching. So that's an aspect that we would love to grow on our
That's,
business. And then I'm also doing a lot of experimenting and a lot of research on AI.
mm.
And is there an opportunity? I think the opportunity is immense, but I do think you're going to run into a lot of competition, and it's about being best of breed.
Yes.
And so we're trying to see where that may go. I'm very high on AI agents. It's just a matter of, again, are we there yet? Are
Mm.
we are we starting to outrun the headlines on those as well?
Yeah.
And what does that look like?
Very interesting. Talk to me a little bit more about Pro Assisting Academy. Just briefly, what does that offer look like? What do people get, etc.? Walk me through that.
We really want to bring in executive assistants who have 3+ years of experience, who want to work for clients instead of bosses.
Mm,
And it's either that executive assistant in her or his early 30s who just really wants to work really hard and make the most of that they can out of their career, or it's that 55-year-old who's stepping away from the C-suite and moving to outside of metropolitan area, and someone who is commanding 150 or 200,000 a year and wants to move into that third act of their career and keep working and have cash flow. And so it pushes out where that retirement really begins, and do it remotely. And we teach how to make that transition possible. It's about balancing that career, or where you are in your career, and making sure that the personal side of the ledger is lining up, and because it's so important in this role.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Because then you're teaching them how to do it themselves if the demand isn't necessarily there yet, if that makes sense. But then you still have a pipeline of EAs that you could always place.
And a lot of our EAs have clients outside of us, and we encourage that. So that is, yeah, it's giving them kind of a business in a box of really how to take their expertise that they've developed over a career and package it and in a way that is very easy for someone to get that level of experience, but it doesn't align with their balance sheet. That's where the fractional space is so exciting right now. And I really got into the term fractional about 2 years ago, but because we were doing it before, we didn't even know what to call it. We said we were remote executive assistants because we wanted to get away from virtual. And the fractional space, small and medium-sized businesses can really punch above their weight by, instead of hiring one COO, they get a fractional COO, a fractional CMO, and a fractional CFO for the price of one.
Yes.
And you're getting that expertise. And that's where the remote work story, I think, is going. You've got Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan Chase pounding on the table saying everybody needs to be in the office. And in certain instances, I get that. But on the other hand, you have these smaller businesses where you get to wipe away the lines on the map and say, find me the best fractional CMO for pharmaceutical sales or for manufacturing, and you can go get them. And so it's a really fascinating space. And that's where I think business ownership is going. And there's a third act of everyone's career. I guarantee it.
Yeah. I like that. What advice would you give new entrepreneurs that are starting off in 2025? There's all this uncertainty, like you mentioned, but then there's also this AI coming into every single aspect of our lives. What would you tell those people that are just starting off this year?
Depends on the person. If this is someone who's 28 years old and runs a painting or is a painter, I'd go all in on that. I think home services and local services, AI is not, it's going to make your invoicing easier, your quotes easier. The Service Titan, they have amazing platforms out there where it is so easy to stand up a business in the back of your truck, and then get another truck and then get another truck. But if you're talking about someone who has corporate experience, 15, 20 years, I think going fractional, it almost would be a dereliction of your duty to say, I'm going to go open a restaurant and I'm a chief human resource officer. It's first see about what your expertise is in and leverage that, whether it's coaching or whatnot. Then I also think for any business owner starting out now, having actual conversations.
Yes.
The conversation can be on the phone, it can be on Zoom, it can be over coffee or over drinks in person. Obviously, in person is better than Zoom, but Zoom's still pretty darn good.
Yeah.
You can really get a sense of a person over Zoom really well. So don't shy away from that and have your first 100 conversations. And that's anyone starting their business, there's a high degree of probability that you've got 100 people in your Rolodex that would have a 10-minute conversation with you. And you just say to them, I'm thinking about trying something new. Can I bounce my idea off you? And I'm doing this with all my friends, all my family. I'm gathering all this information. I greatly appreciate your opinion. Do you have 10 minutes? And 97% of those people are going to say yes. And you're going to have those conversations. You're going to get good at explaining what you want to do. It's going to refine as you have those conversations. And you can do this while you're still working a full-time role and in that planning process. But yeah, I don't know if that really answers your question, but
No, that's perfect. I love that. I think that's a great starting point. And I think it's important for people to realize that instead of trying to figure out all the back end and let me get my website set up perfectly and let me get this set up perfectly and my LLC and all this stuff, just have conversations with people. You need to do market research and see if the problem that, or if your solution is actually a problem that they want or need solved. So I think that's perfect. I want to be respectful of your time. What is the best way for people to reach out to you to work with you?
I'm very active on LinkedIn. I made it a commitment this year that I was going to post on LinkedIn Monday through Friday. So I have that has created a lot of, just posting daily has created a lot of conversations and whatnot. So Ethan Bull at LinkedIn. And then obviously proassisting.com is our website for the service business, and proassisting.academy is the website for our training business.
Okay, very cool. Thank you so much for your time, Ethan.
Thanks, Ammar.
Perfect. So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go to proassisting.com if you're looking for assistance yourself. That's proassisting.com, and proassisting.academy if you want to be a fractional EA yourself. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with our team and discover how we went from zero to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing.